What's going on, guys? This is Drake Shop Plays coming at you with another awesome video. We are going to go over Renfail's I Rage Quit Monster Hunter Wilds video today. But before we get started on that, please like and subscribe, share the channel with a friend. We have an awesome community that we're building, and I'm so excited to have you, one, along the journey with me. Two, I'm always happy to hunt with you guys. And we have a bunch of hunters that are willing to hunt with you as well. Please check out buckedup.com, link in the details of the description of the video below. You can get 20% off your order of protein, energy drinks, pre-workouts. As a retired bodybuilder, I used to use this company all the time. I still do, just to stay strong when I'm doing construction. But so definitely check that out. Use code lycanthrope number 1 for 20% off your order, and it helps support this channel directly. Check out Fuecoco in the back. The studio is looking perfect. Now let's react to this. I've been talking a lot about this. I reached out to him. I'm willing to help this guy learn the game. He gave the game a 5 out of 10, which is just pathetic. Now, I don't want you guys to use this as a way to attack this person, because I actually like Renfail. He's a really good content creator, a very nice guy. Just recently lost a cat, But he's what we call a tourist, right? It's his first Monster Hunter game. He quit on New Udra, the Black Flame, low rank, and he was only using the light bowgun, which tells you that he didn't even try half the weapons, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that I've been talking about on my Let's Play, and I want to go over it. And then right after this, we will do my Monster Hunter Wilds review of the game as well. Now, let's get into it, but the first thing I want to say, please do not attack this content creator. This isn't a hate video. I reached out to him. I'm willing to help him. I was willing to teach him. But I feel like Monster Hunter just isn't a game for him. And when you find these games that are just not for you, and you didn't take the time to learn them, this is when I need to call you out and say, hey, you can't be giving this game a 5 out of 10 when this is your first Monster Hunter title. I've been playing this game since March of 2004. 20 years I've been playing this game. And this isn't a flex. This is me telling you. There's been a lot of times where I want to rage quit the game. The thing is, I got good. I learned, just like Dark Souls, kinda. Monster Hunter has its own rule set, its own play style, its own learning curve, and each weapon has their own learning curve. A lot of people that I teach people how to hunt with new weapons, they don't even know where to begin because they're just only good at using one weapon. But I think it's good for people to try to learn another weapon because it gives you to understand the game from another player's shoes or perspective. And that's what I want to get into today. Let's jump right into it. Let's start playing this video.
And I'm really torn.
Okay.
So I have over 7,500 videos on my YouTube channel. I've been doing this full time for more than 3 years, and I can count on one hand the amount of games that I have rage quit or just stopped playing after I've paid money for them. Monster Hunter Wilds is now in that grouping, and I'm really torn on whether or not I'm actually going to keep streaming the game to completion, or if I'm just going to let it go to the wayside, maybe pick it up at a later date. I'm not sure yet, but I kind of want to walk you through what went down if you weren't at the stream today. So my second stream, which was this morning, was the stream that sort of pushed me over the edge and made me go, oh my god, I don't know. We got 5 hours in and I had to just stop. I just had to stop, and it just went away. took a nap, had some food, woke up from said nap. I'm getting ready to go jump in the shower to start my second stream of the day, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But I wanted to make this video before then because I have thoughts and I wanted to get them out there. So, first and foremost, it's not that it's a bad game, but there are some major issues at play here which are keeping me from having the fun that I might otherwise have with this game. And I just want to get these thoughts out there because, you know, I'm fairly balanced in my review process. I do 3 major reviews for every game I play. I put a lot of time in the games I play. We do the early thoughts videos, we do the initial reviews, then we do the final reviews. So every game tends to get 3 in-depth reviews from me as I play through games. Most of the time when I stop playing a game, it's because I'm no longer having fun. I can't think of any games I've stopped playing because there were bugs or anything. It's because of the fun factor. And someone said today during the stream they could tell from the look on my face that I wasn't having fun. And it was like, you're not wrong. I'm not having fun.
Now, right there, I want to pause. Keep in mind, he's only been playing this game through solo. He's never tried multiplayer. As a veteran of this franchise, I will say that yes, it's okay for you to hunt solo, but it's not this thing where you are forced to. You can do SOS flares, and they teach you that early on. And the thing is, when you're hunting multiplayer, we have an awesome community that's willing to teach you, willing to help you, and willing to talk to you even on the microphone. Personally, like myself, I'll literally hook up this professional microphone and teach people how to hunt, teach people how to craft. And Monster Hunter has gotten flack for this in previous launches of games where their tutorials aren't the best. There's never enough of them. And, I feel like this game is the most accessible that they've ever made. It's quite easy. I wouldn't say it's too easy, but it's quite easy. But the thing is, whenever we talk about difficulty, it depends on your armor. So right here, I can tell you, he's using hair bombing gauntlets, 2 pieces of raid out armor, and then he's got Uthaduna on the tacet and on the greaves of this armor set. So he's got a really decent armor set. Now his bow gun, it looks like it's just your standard bone bow gun, which I have thoughts for it in itself. But the standard bow gun isn't necessarily a bad weapon. It certainly has its uses until you're able to upgrade further. But I feel like he should have already upgraded this weapon. Maybe not once, but twice even, before he tried taking on the Black Flame. No, and there's this one thing about playing Monster Hunter. It's a game of preparation. So when we talk about difficulty, what armor are you using? What weapon are you using? Are you good with the weapon? Have you learned the weapon? And I'll be honest with you. The amount of time that it took him to rage quit isn't enough time to give this game a review. And this is just as a professional game journalist myself. If I don't have time to review a game, I don't. Now, I do have ADD, so a lot of the times I'll start playing a game and I'll stop. And a lot of people are like, hey, why'd you stop playing that game? And it's neither because I didn't have enough fun or I got busy in life, But the thing is, I would never review a game. Like, I never gave God of War Ragnarok a review because I didn't play enough of it to give it a review. I know it's an awesome game with the 11 hours I put in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I should be reviewing a game. Now, he gives this game a 5 out of 10, which is just ridiculous. But so the fun factor that he's talking about, he hasn't even experienced because he's been just doing solo hunts. Multiplayer is where new hunters can learn the system and get help from veteran hunters like myself, where you can not only have more fun, but you can blow up monsters with bombs. You can literally trap them. You can capture them. You can do all these things. And what I'll say is, he didn't give this game enough time a day to even learn it. You know, he got to the Black Flame and he got fraud checked. And what I mean by fraud checked, it's not an insult to him. It's more of an insult to people like him that come into the game riding the hype, but they don't take the time to learn the mechanics. And multiplayer is where you learn that, because a lot of the things that he talks about in this video, multiplayer will teach you. You know, the fellow veteran hunters will teach you how to craft these items. And yes, it is on the devs to make tutorials and make crafting make sense, you know. The UI is awful, I will say, in Monster Hunter. I am a critique of this game. I've been playing it since 2004, so I do critique it on certain aspects. But what I will say is, we cannot stand for someone reviewing a game 5 out of 10 when they didn't even try, really. So let's let him continue and we'll keep going.
And I kind of want to walk people through that process, because fun is different things to different people. This game has a $70 price tag. That's a pretty steep price tag to pay to get into this. And I'm coming into this game as a first entry into the Monster Hunter series. So I've never played a Monster Hunter game before. And so I went into this knowing that I was already sort of on the fence about some of the things in the game, some of the mechanics and stuff, because it's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. So I went into this knowing full well that I was probably taking a risk in, you know, spending money on this game. But I didn't realize that the UI and the menus would be the things that drove me away from this, that really made me, at the end of today, those were the main things. Also, just for those of you who were there during the stream this morning, just a combination of different things. Like, the straw that broke the camel back was when I failed the quest to kill the lava tentacle beast. Why? Because I kept getting stuck against the wall and stuck in the geometry when trying to get away from the flame attacks, and to the point where I just got stuck over and over and over and kept dying because my character would get stuck on a rock, or I would get stuck in the nook or cranny, or I would somehow get stuck when I was trying to duck and tumble away from things. And it was that on top of these other issues related to the clunky UI, the lack of tutorials, and a bunch of other stuff. So
let's pause it there. So, how do I say this? Hunting a monster is kind of like boxing. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of tactical awareness that you need to have when hunting a monster. And the best way I describe it is fighting, or, you know, martial arts, is positioning is key. Positioning is key, technique is key, and speed is key. And every weapon that I've ever played in this series, you know, I main all weapons, and I stand on that. But it's only because I've been playing this series for 20 years. And in Monster Hunter Tri, literally the lobbies would kick you if you didn't use the weapon that they wanted you to use. So I'm glad that those people aren't in our community anymore, because they were awful. You think the trolls on Twitter are bad. Those guys would make you pull your hair out just because you weren't using the switch axe on a Logiarchus in the middle of the water and dying immediately because it's so slow and clunky. What I will say is hunting a monster, it's a dance and it's a rhythm, and him getting stuck in the geometry isn't really a reasonable excuse. And the reason why I reason why I say that is he's played every single key quest up to this point where he's getting fraud checked by the Black Flame. New Udra is the name of this tentacle beast. And what the game was trying to teach you without teaching you, which is the beauty in it sometimes, is it's not holding your hand so much like he wants. The biggest thing is positioning. And when you're using a ranged weapon, like a gun, like a light bow gun, you need to be aware of your positioning just like a melee player, okay? If I'm using a greatsword, I'm aware of my positioning. You don't learn this, really, until you start paying attention, And when you're streaming, I can understand how he's not really paying attention and giving the game its due diligence, which is why I reached out to him. So this, like I said, this video isn't an attack on him. I'm just dejecting the 5 out of 10 rating that he gave this game. I think it's unprofessional and I think it's unwarranted because just like I didn't review God of War Ragnarok, even though I played it, it's because I only played 11 hours of it, and it's not reasonable to the fans of that game for me to say, oh, well, it's a 2 out of 10. So I know you didn't even get anywhere in this story. There's no reason you could say it's a 2 out of 10. Perfect example is this. But when you're using a gun, you're able to stay further back from the monster. So it's really all about positioning. But you also have to understand that New Udra uses all of its tentacles, and it has certain tells in the dance. Every monster has a tell. It'll tell you what move it's going to do just by reading its body language. And that's the dance or the martial arts or like boxing. So I deject the fact that he's getting stuck in the geometry. He's stuck up against a wall. He should have never been near the wall in the first place. And the reason why I say that is when you're using a gun, you're able to be further away from the creature, and it allows you more time to react to moves that the creature's going to use. Plus, the light bowgun has a double evade button, where if you double click on X, he's using the PlayStation 5, by the way. When you're using the PlayStation 5, double click on X and you will do a roll and then a slide and reload at the same time. And you're getting double the amount of room that you normally would when you roll that much. So that's kind of the reason why I'm dejecting it. It's not that it's an invalid point. It's just he didn't take the time to learn the dance. He didn't put in the time to master a weapon. And that's where as us Monster Hunter veterans and us content creators have a responsibility to say, no, you can't be reviewing it. So I'm rejecting it on behalf of all the Monster Hunter community. Now, the game has faults. The game has faults, and I will go over that in my review, but we can't allow tourists to review a game in a unreasonable way that doesn't even grant a review. So let's keep going.
I know some people out there are going to be coming at me right now going, how is it possible that you can't like this game? It's the best game ever. Absolutely love this.
Okay, and I want to pause here because, like I said, I like Renfail. He's a great guy. He's a great video game reviewer and a great content creator. And just a great person in general. This isn't me coming at him from the perspective of his points aren't valid. I just feel like he didn't give the game the time that it was deserved. You know what I mean? And so it's not me coming at him. I reached out to him. I offered to help him. I offered to teach him. And I even said, we don't have to record anything. Let me just help you learn the game so you aren't wasting $70. And maybe you can change your review because you'll learn the game, you'll learn the fun in the game. Because Monster Hunter is a really fun game. And it's a blast once you understand that your positioning is key, your moves are key. So we'll let him continue talking.
This game, in my initial early thoughts video, I gave this a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. And I listed the issues that I had with it. After today's session, I'm dropping that to a 5 out of 10. And the reason is because there is just an absolute lack of tutorials and an absolute just this system. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. So you're running around, you're gathering components, like we're going out into the wild, gathering components, and you're getting like mushrooms and stones and things, and many of these things are used to do your upgrades and to craft your weapons, right, and to do your armor and stuff, and that's all explained, and you're working with it. But what's not explained is like the mushrooms and stuff, and like what are you doing with these things, and like as an example, you could do things like make potions and do the ammo and all this stuff. None of that is explained ever. So during the gameplay today,
and his point here like, hey, is valid.
Go into
I
your
will say,
inventory. Go into your
because just as much as I say that it's on us veterans to teach people how to craft and all that stuff, the game should teach you that as well. And I feel like that's one part where the accessibility for new players isn't where it should be. And so this is to all the directors, Yuya Takuda, all the directors, Ryozo Sugimoto. There's certain aspects of the game that does deflect newer players. But this isn't necessarily a fault of the newer players, because they're new, right? They should have tutorials on how to craft. And what it should be is just something simple. A gathering quest that's a key quest in the very beginning. We used to have them in Monster Hunter 1 on the PS2. Gather 10 herbs, right? Gather 10 herbs. But then another little objective pops up. Gather 10 blue mushroom, right? Craft potions. Craft the potions, okay? Then it'll say go collect honey. Go collect honey. And then when you collect honey, say now craft mega potions. This is how you heal yourself. And I will say that my favorite Monster Hunter of all time is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And I know that it's an expansion. I know that it's really just Monster Hunter Freedom or Monster Hunter 2, right? But the thing is this. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite does it the best because they give you all the levels of difficulty up front, even though it's expansion, right? They give you G rank, they give you high rank, they give you low rank. But throughout all these quests that you have to complete, they give you access to the farm. And the farm, even though there's no tutorial, back then there was no tutorial really either. Besides a couple little menus that you click off real quick if you're not wanting to read, like most people don't want to read. But it allows you to gather honey. It allows you to gather blue mushrooms and herbs. And the reason why I point that out is that's something that I actually felt like they should have done better at. Because really, you had to do side quests in order to get these people from each area to gather your materials for you. But they don't tell you that. So it's very frustrating. I think I got all the way past the Black Flame before I did a side quest increasing my hunter rank. And it goes, go do the side quest. And then it says, oh, now these people can gather materials for you. And I wish I would have known that sooner. And that's coming from a veteran of this game. So I do understand his point here, and I will say it's a valid point because crafting is something that they totally ignored for tutorials. I feel like they did a great job on every single weapon, which is why I feel like it's kind of frustrating that maybe people don't take the time to practice, because it's funny, the training area is really good. It can teach you how to do offsets, it can teach you how to inflict wounds, and it can teach you how to do power clashes. For guns, same thing, wound popping and all that good stuff. But I feel like he should have learned on the training dummy before ever getting as far as he did. But let's let him continue.
Menu, and you can go into this crafting list, and then you can go in here and you go down through this crafting list, and you can actually use all of those things you've been finding to create items, to craft items. And I'm like, what? Like, that's never ever explained anywhere in the tutorials that we saw. And we had a bunch of people in chat who were saying, yeah, right, like we were literally trying to figure out what we're doing with all these recipes, all these items and everything. And then at some point I came in here to my tent, and I was going through my tent and looking at things, and we were looking at the crafting list, and this is like, we were in here, and all of a sudden I picked up the crafting list and saw that you could make all these things. And only after I had opened this menu did a tutorial on screen pop up and say, oh yeah, by the way, this is where you can craft items. And it's like, there was never a tutorial that explained all those things. Another perfect example of this is like...
Alright, continue, Renfail.
We were talking about how anytime a game teaches you something, the game should teach you how to do it through a hands-on tutorial, right? So as an example, the game does have tutorials in some areas, but let's say I want to drink a hot tea to counter cold effects, right? Or something of that nature, like eat something that has a cold bonus effect. The game should have something that pops up and tells you how to craft those items. That never happens. We were in the middle of combat. No, I know what it was. Here's the one that drove me nuts today. Here's the one that really drove me nuts. So you get this thing, right? I gotta find it now. Portable barbecue grill. Put it down on the ground. Now, all that happened when I went to go grill meat, you go to grill meat, this pops up, right? And there's a button at the top right that says roast. There's some music that plays, a very quick thing, animation plays, and then it's done. All that happens the very first time you do this is there's a tiny little thing that pops up and says, don't burn the meat, you know, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, in order to make steaks, you got to cook the meat. It has to be cooked properly. If you cook it too much, it'll burn. You don't want to burn it because then you can't get the proper cuts out of the meat. And that's it. Don't burn the meat. And then that little pop-up window goes away, and then it throws you into that little cut scene. And that's it. There's no explanation of any of what this is, right? It's just this. And the only thing... There's no explanation of how that works. Now, a proper tutorial would be something like, it's going to pause the game, a window's going to pop up, and it's going to show you either a series of screenshots or a short animated video that shows you the exact process you need to be doing. Like, hey, here's the process of cooking the meat. There's a quick animation, it's going to change color, you want it to look like this if you want the best, don't burn it, if it burns it looks like this. And then go ahead and try it, and you would click a next button, it would unpause the game, you would then cook the meat, try it a few times, and then it would say, great, now you got the hang of that, let's try cutting, and then let's take you into the cutting process whereby you then cut the meat. Instead, what happens is it throws you into that. If you do that properly just by pushing the button randomly and figure out what's going on, then it takes you to another cutscene where you're supposed to cut the steaks, right? And all it says is cut in time with the music to cut the steaks. Again, very quick animation sequence with no tutorial on what you're supposed to be doing. The game should then in my opinion, you would get a tutorial and it would pause and then tell you this is what you need to do, cut the meat. And instead, this is what happens.
I will say that is valid, because a new player is not going to understand the cooking process. Back in the very beginning of this franchise, they had a similar thing, the barbecue spit. But it had a little thing that would play, and it'd go, so tasty, right? But then, me and my brother always thought it was Go Stacy, because the lady that was saying it was just like super fast. So we always say Go Stacy. But the thing that I want to say to this is, a new player coming into this game won't understand the intricacies of cooking the meat, especially when they added that cutting animation. Even us veterans were kind of puzzled by the cutting of the meat to the sound of the rhythm. That was something that I had to get used to as well. I also burned steaks, so don't feel too bad, because 20-year veterans still burn steaks. So let's continue.
This happens, and I've learned, okay, it turns color, and let's do that. Now it goes to the next sequence. Look how fast this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. Right? Now it tells you, like, if you want to get the most of it, you're supposed to be cutting in time to the music, but there is never a moment where it pauses to, like, say, hey, this is what you should be doing to get the most of this. Little nitpick things. The amount of menus is ridiculous, none of which have any explanations of anything. The most atrocious thing.
Okay, let's look at his skills. Okay, so he's fighting Udra. His defense ain't bad. But does anyone see what I see? -5 to fire resistance. So obviously he doesn't understand defense. He doesn't understand fire resistance. Which New Udra, the monster that fraud checked him, is a fire monster, obviously. So he has -5 to fire resistance. He has little to no defensive capabilities on this. Divine Blessing's good here and there. Latin Power can be good. But you see, two things stand out. And this is why I know he didn't master the art of the hunt. He didn't master the boxing, the chess match that you and the monster play. He didn't master this. And I can tell you this for 2 reasons. He's got 3 skills that are killer to helping him in this. The 2 that stand out the most to me are Evade Window and Constitution. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to say it. He obviously never really got fraud checked up until the Black Flame. He might have carded a couple times, but he always finished a quest. Or maybe had to start another quest, you know. What I'm saying is, Evade Window and Constitution should keep you alive all the way through high rank. I mean, you could literally evade window almost everything. So I just want to say, you know, this isn't an attack on Renfail. I want you guys to remember that. I want you guys to be respectful of that. This is just to deject his 5 out of 10 review for a game that he didn't care to learn. And yes, I agree with a lot of his points as far as a new player's perspective. Is a lot of this, they don't teach you properly. And to that I say, you know, I offered him help. But I say to all new players, reach out to friends that play Monster Hunter. Reach out to the community. Even on Twitter, people are willing to help you. You know, you get the occasional whack job on Twitter that just wants to troll you or be mean. But just ignore them, block them, mute them, and just continue about your business, because guess what? The reality is the Monster Hunter community is an awesome community. We're always willing to teach people like Renfail and help them find the fun in a game that they paid money for. So I don't want you guys attacking him. The rest of his video, if you guys want to watch it, definitely click on it to watch the rest of it. Renfail's a really good guy, a really awesome content creator, and just a solid guy. So what I will say is 5 out of 10 review is ridiculous for this game. Now, my Monster Hunter bias aside, because obviously I'm biased towards Monster Hunter. I've been playing it for 20 years. I know that. You know that. But I will say is I see a lot of his points from a new player's perspective. And I will say that that's something that should be changed in a title update for new players. And also I will say that my review coming for this game, bias aside, is an 8.5 out of 10. Now, with Monster Hunter, they give you title updates. Now, you see, I'm on the fence of the Monster Hunter veterans that hate the expansions. Now, you'll say, David, literally you just said Monster Hunter Freedom Unite's your favorite. Yes, I understand that. But what I want to say is this. The expansions have gotten out of control. We pay $80 for a game that only gives you 2 difficulty settings, low rank and high rank. And to be honest, we should be paying $20 at most for each difficulty. Okay? We're getting charged $80 and we only got these 2 difficulties. We should have master rank. In a game this big, in a game that's this expensive, that's what keeps me from going higher than an 8.5 out of 10. And I will have this in my full review. But I want to make a really in-depth video on it with some awesome recordings and stuff like that. But 5 out of 10 is ridiculous. 8.5 out of 10, highly recommend for people that are willing to learn from online players. As in, if you're a new player coming into this, know that you will hit walls. Perfect example is a game like Elden Ring. You can literally get fraud checked by the first boss you find in Elden Ring. The first boss you find in Elden Ring can fraud check you. And a game like this is telling you something. In order to master me and find the fun, you need to learn the dance. So what I will say to all you fellow hunters out there, please be respectful of people that have these reviews and takes. Newer players don't get the tutorials that they deserve. But what I will say is the community is willing to make up for that slack, but you have to be willing to try it. So that's what I will say. So to all you fellow hunters out there, definitely help out new people. It's something that I always enjoy to do in the pastime while we're waiting on the Master Rank expansion. Please like and subscribe, share the channel with a friend. Definitely check out buckedup.com. Use my code lycanthrope1 for 20% off your order. And I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Please comment below. And as always, take care.